Hey guys, just wanted to let you know quickly before today's video, just a scheduling note or editing note, I don't know, but I don't want to show you guys any deck reviews for the next few days because they'll all be moot by the time that the balance changes hit in anyway. So we'll be doing some CRL coverage tomorrow, some opinion pieces, and just kind of waiting for the update to arrive and the balance changes. Then we'll hit you hard with all the update news, balance changes, and new decks for the new meta. But right now, you know, what's the point right now? So there will be more opinion pieces in the next few days. Just something to look out for. I want to, before we get into the oops Supercell, here are the cards that you forgot to balance, I do want to show you guys a commercial in case you missed it. It's been going around a couple weeks now. It's a really cool anime Clash Royale commercial over in Asia. I assume Japan, could have been China as well, but either way, check it out. I hope you guys love it as much as I do, and enjoy the video, guys. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. What did you guys think of the balance changes? You've had 24 hours to kind of digest them, think about them, debate them, and complain about them. So I really want to hear after this day, have you changed your mind? Are you really frustrated with the balance changes, or do you really like them? Are you a big fan of them? Today I want to talk about 9 cards that I think they missed in the balance update. Now, quick thoughts on the balance update. Personally, nothing really caught me by surprise. I knew the tornado was kind of in line to get a nerf, even though you guys know I really didn't want it to, but we can't always get what we want on every single change. So other than the tornado personally, and maybe going a little bit overboard on the Ice Spirit nerf, although it doesn't really change any huge interactional changes, I really think that the update was pretty good. The balance changes, excuse me. The update will have to wait a couple days, hopefully, but it's been going on everywhere. Clan Wars everywhere. So what I want to do in today's video again is touch on 9 cards that they didn't touch. They didn't, or they did in some ways, but I think they should have done in other ways that I think they missed. So, oops, Supercell, you missed these 9 cards. Probably be the title. Anyway, let's start with the Mega Knight. Come on, Supercell! You know, Mega Knight was nerfed into oblivion. He's still somewhat useful in a small arena range from like 8 to 10, but even that said, he's still the second least popular and least effective in terms of win percentage legendary card out there. So, you know, that's not great. Behind Barbarian Barrel, that is. Even Sparky's ahead of him. No offense, Sparky, but you guys get what I'm saying. They nerfed him really hard last update. I think they could have given a little bit of that back, similar to what they did to the Knight. So I'm disappointed that the Mega Knight wasn't on the balance sheet for this update. Number 2 is the Bowler. Man, where was the Bowler? I think a beautiful nerf, soft nerf to both the Prince and the Dark Prince and the Battle Ram would have been that Bowler's Boulder having the ability to just knock them back. It's not a huge buff, it's just an interactional buff, but I think it would have been extremely valuable for the Bowler to make him viable again. Right now, even though he's a cool card, I like the card, he's just not as strong as he should be for 5 elixir at an epic. Just in my opinion, I would have liked to see that Bowler knocked back, and again, that would have kept the Prince and the Dark Prince a little bit more in check as well. So kind of disappointed on the Bowler. The next is a card that I've talked about in the past saying I didn't want to buff, but I've changed my mind. I pulled a 180, and it's the Bomber. You guys see him in the thumbnail. I think that the Bomber should actually get a buff, and here's why. The reason I said I didn't want the Bomber to get a buff in the past was really early level arenas where he has a decent use rate. But it's a decent use rate, but I looked into the numbers this morning, and it's not like crazy use rate, and it's not a crazy win percentage. I don't think that giving him a buff to make him viable at tournament level standards or even the top of ladder would ruin the game at early level arenas. I really truly don't. And furthermore, he's a unique card because he's a semi-ranged card, short range, but is a ranged card nonetheless, at 3 elixir that does splash damage. We really don't have that unless I'm obviously missing a different card. A ranged card, 3 elixir splash damage. I don't know, he seems like a pretty unique card. I'd liked him to be viable, so I would also have liked a bomber buff. Bomb Tower might have been able to use a buff as well, but I'm not going to include that on the list. I still think Bomb Tower is actually viable. It's more speaking to the strength of Inferno Tower and maybe Tornado in the previous meta that kind of boxed it down. But, you know, I mean, we saw a 12-win, well, whatever. Okay, Bomb Tower's not good. I'm not going to try to kid you guys. Bomb Tower could probably use a buff, but he's not going to be on my official list, even though we talked about him for 30 seconds. Oh, man, this episode being derailed. All right, the Goblin Hut. The Goblin Hut, they nerfed Spear Goblins. Ash, what's the big deal, dude? Well, I just think that nerfing Spear Goblins probably was unwarranted. I mean, you know, I originally thought that nerfing Spear Goblins would be a good idea. You guys gave me a lot of negative feedback. I thought about it, which is what you're supposed to do when you receive criticism, and I changed my mind. I don't always do that, but sometimes I do. And I changed my mind on this one as well. I do think that Spirit Goblins shouldn't have probably been given a nerf. Spirit Goblins and Goblin Gang were both very good, but not incredibly good that they needed a hard nerf, in my opinion. I would have rather just seen an HP nerf to the Goblin Hut personally. But again, you know, I don't know. Whatever. I think that everybody has their own preferences. However, me personally, I think that Goblin Hut probably needed an HP nerf and then leave Spirit Goblins just the same as they were. Next, we have Barbarians. So Barbarians are an interesting card, another card that was really useful, and the longer that Clash Royale sticks around, the less and less and less effective and useful they become, because there's so many more splash damage cards being either buffed or meta or added to the game that they become less and less useful. Furthermore, there's better options at 5 elixir for your elixir, right, than Barbarians. In the beginning of the game, they were a key, essential part of a lot of decks. Think of the Jason deck with Hog and Barbarians and Giant all in the same deck. You just don't see that kind of stuff anymore. Barbarians, you know, in the stats back me up here on this one for sure. Barbarians and Barbarian Hut are at the very, very bottom in terms of win rates and use rates, both at tournament level standard and also in arena, pretty much at every arena level except for the very early ones. I do think that Barbarians could be well served with a little buff. Now, 4 cards I wanted to talk about that I'm not calling for a buff or a nerf. It's rather just a rework. So I want to see a rework to Elite Barbarians. I'm going to borrow KOJ's idea. I think it's a great idea. A small buff to Elite Barbarians, however, you make them extremely kiteable, meaning that their area radius is greatly improved. So it's a trade-off, right? And what we're going to try to do is, what's the annoying thing about Elite Barbarians? It's when they're overleveled A, but that's another problem. Ladder overleveled, that's another episode. But the thing with Elite Barbarians is they're annoying when they're spammed at the bridge because of their small kind of kiting radius, their kind of area of awareness, and you're not able to distract them, to aggro them towards the center of the arena and pull them. I think it should be much easier to pull them. KOJ had this idea, and he, you know, really articulated it much better than yours truly. I do think that they are an awful card aside from being overleveled in a little area of ladder, which ought to be fixed, but they're a pretty bad card. They're really bad. So I think that making them, perhaps, they need to tweak the stats on Elite Barbarians, whether it's a nerf or a buff, and then tweak the mechanics to kind of go along with whatever change we made to the stats. I think they could use a rework, long story short. I think that Heal could also use a rework. Heal is used in like one deck, you know, kind of, sorta, not really competitively viable. It's not really viable at all, as a matter of fact, whether you're a competitive pro player or you're a casual Joe. It's incredibly a niche card, and I just don't think it's that great. I think it could be very well served by some sort of a radius buff maybe, or a duration change, and then change the heal per second or heal per tick to reflect that change. I do think that it should be more of an instant heal myself rather than a poison, so it should be almost instant and less effective, less overall heal. That would be my idea for the heal. Mirror is an interesting card. I know a lot of people have been suggesting, okay, just take away the +1 elixir and take away the +1 level and just make it a straight up mirror of the card you just played. However, I do worry that could accentuate really annoying decks. You know, like let's say it's a deck with, let's pretend that Dark Goblin is OP after the buff. I don't think he's going to be. Let's pretend for a second here. And then they're starting mirroring Dark Goblins every match, or mirroring the most annoying card in your opponent's deck. I think that Mirror could quickly go from underutilized, underused, and rarely used to very, very hated. I'm not sure if that's the solution, but there ought to be some solution. Maybe a Dark Mirror, I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but I hear Dark Mirror everywhere. So I do think that Mirror ought to be changed in some way for a rework to make it more viable. It could be an interesting card. And then the last card I want to talk about today is Clone. Clone is one of those cards that, you know, every once in a while, every 5 times you use it, you might be able to get a little bit of value. But right now, it's more, again, of a niche card that people use as kind of, I don't know, kind of a joke, a troll with Golem decks or Lava Hound decks, especially in 2v2. And it's fun that there's a card that exists like that. And as OJ said, not every card has to be viable competitively or viable or popular or useful. Some cards can just be, well, crappy cards. However, I do think that Clone, the mechanic is kind of, it's played out. It's played out to me. I've never been a big fan of Clone though, so I am biased, but I don't know how exactly I would rework Clone. I know a lot of people have suggested maybe giving the cloned units some hit points and then making them disappear after a certain amount of time, similar to Clash of Clans. So if you could clone a troop at full hit points, but they only last for like 10 seconds. What do you think about that idea? I want to know, because I don't have any great rework ideas, honestly, for any of the cards that I brought up today. I want to hear your opinions in the description below. Go ahead and check out my stats on statsroyale.com in the description, along with my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. Check out Bren's information in the description below. He's been hosting tournaments along with Stats Royale, both of them hosting tournaments on Twitter, along with yours truly on Facebook. So if you guys want to hop into one of those tournaments, we'd love to see you. Guys, I also want to give a shout out to Do Recorder. They're the best and easiest way to record your game footage in high definition or stream to Facebook, to Twitter, or to Twitch using your phone with a face cam in the game right from the Do Recorder app. So guys, check out those. Thank you so much to my sponsors here on the channel. Thank you so much to you guys for watching all the way till the end. Love you all. Thank you. And as always, take care, guys.